got to have pointers. Nouns serve as pointers. This is why we can use things like this or that. That's loud, or this is loud. They just point to something. And not surprisingly, we human beings start our lives for the first years of our lives with a sort of built-in pointer.
Yeah.
We point to things, and it helps us acquire this. I think that, in effect, what actually is happening over the first year of life is we're developing a lot of sophistication with this, using this relationship of pointing, of indicating that ground symbols in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hear words and we point to things. We hear words and we point to things. And it allows during the first year of life, us to begin to acquire this capacity. I think this is why it's so important that we have this curious bias that other species don't have. This, where we can use our hands to both manipulate things, but also to indicate things. And children are just well devised to do this. And this has been another, I think, selection. We've been selected to do this. Notice that also there are disturbances in human development, particularly in cases of autism. Although autism is a broad spectrum of things, a lot of autistic children do two things that are very atypical. In extreme autistic cases, they don't pay attention to where heads are looking, where somebody is looking at things, how eye movement is working. They don't tend to point. They don't tend to indicate and to follow others' indication. This makes it very hard to acquire language.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't start out with this bias in which you learn how pointing works, you learn how indexicality works, it's going to be hard to get into language. You're going to be a late developer. You're going to use language differently. So we already know that this is a feature, a clear feature of language learning. We take it for granted with young children. That, this, we point and we point and they point, we look at things, they look at where we're looking. This is all a part of this. This has been brought out by a number of researchers, a part of this process. But this ability to link symbols to indices, to get them to ground their reference in the world, is neither nature nor nurture. This is necessary if you're going to communicate symbolically. It's built into what we call the semiotic infrastructure of language. You have to have this capacity. And that's going to limit things. So to clap my hands now and then 5 minutes later to say loud, they're not connected to each other.